Welcome to my first video on the 3.22 experimental PTU server. Note this is not Evocati, this is experimental PTU. And a few of the new things that I found in here are the CitizenCon 2953 digital goodies pack has additional parts to it that are finally in, including the Headhunter headlamp, which is not a headlamp. It is essentially a trophy that was a replica of what is given to new chiefs of the tribe, to the group. And you will note that there is 4 humanoid-like skulls that we discovered on this thing. And the teeth are not human, thank goodness. And this is a replica, but it is got really cool smoke and fire effects. And this will look really good in your hangar when we have the hangar module and different locations to live out of in the near future. So something to keep an eye on. It is something fun to show off to your friends. Remember that if you place it down in public, there is always the risk that it'll fall through the map. In the PTU and EPTU, it's not a big deal, but in the full game and the live, that is always a constant threat. So it's always a roll of the dice when you're working with these things. But still, it's a neat little trinket, and it's nice to be able to see that the Headhunter Gang Relic collectible is in-game as the Headhunter headlamp. This is one of a couple different items that was developed at CitizenCon. To my understanding, these ones that I'm going to go through are developed there, or they were hidden away until now. So it's nice to see all these finally coming together and people getting the gear they were looking forward to. Now, on to the Pyrotechnic Amalgamated Multitool and case system. Now, this thing is really, really nice. It has a working multi-tool. It has 2 different heads for it as well. So it has the tractor beam and the mining attachment, is my understanding. When I did this, I have to wait until I have the character hold down F to be able to see what's going on. But it comes in a case, and the case itself is actually animated. So when you go through the case, you can actually pull these different tractor beam and mining attachments out and the multi-tool, and the case itself can open and close, and the case has a built-in work light that faces forward and also faces down when you have it open. And then when you close the case, it kind of has like a high beams of a car where the other light that normally would be pointing downwards goes forward. So I have this in good lighting and for Lorville anyway. That's why I'm kind of standing in this one little spot, because there's a very nice bright light here. But even in this bright lighting, you can see that there's these activate symbol on the case itself, and the light is pretty significant, especially in a place like, say, a dimly lit ship that's damaged and the lighting isn't functioning correctly, or has its damage control lighting with the flashing red light. This would be very welcome. I think this actually is a practical measure. You can see that it has the 2 different lights on this collectible case. And I would say that one of the things that we were talking about was this case needs to be available in normal colors as a UEC purchasable item. I get that this was a CitizenCon collectible, this specific case, but this case needs to be in the game in like just a jet black or green or whatever color, and just make that the this is the one purchasable in game that has this capability. It is extremely useful, and I hope to see more tool sets like this, because this thing is just plain beautiful. And you can turn on and off the light. The light works when it is closed or open. However, if you place the case on the floor, the light goes off. Now, that may change in the future, and also when you have it on display, you may be able to leave the light on, I don't know. But for now, at least, when you're carrying it around, it is quite a beautiful piece of equipment, and the light turns off when you drop it. You can place it like an item, like any item in the game, really. And while it's open, you can even grab a tool out of the equipment. But once again, it's always a roll of the dice, opening and closing things and taking tools out and such out of an item that's sitting in public, especially. It can easily melt through the floor. If you notice when I hit the equip, you can stow directly off of it, and yeah, I'm frantically going back to carry it because I don't want to lose it. Eventually it will not longer be on that floor. Now, in the future, that may change. So I don't think they want to have common habitation areas like this just filled with junk, but at the same time, there may be a number of things that the player can do that they can clamp down. If you recall, with ships, they have a hard limit on the number of ships, and it used to be just you could have up to 3 ships at a time out was like a common long-standing rule. And I could see something where you can have one placeable item out in the public at a time. And I mean, we've already have a trash issue, but this thing is not trash. This thing is really desirable. And if this was left somewhere, somebody else would probably take it. So that's another thought I have, is how do you control ownership of these type of items? Or does that matter? Is that an incentive for people to pick this things up and fix it? So, just a thought. The store system doesn't work particularly well on 3.22 PTU as of Friday, but if you look at the inventory, it can swap over. So that is the Pyrotechnic Amalgamated Multitool and case system, and it, like I said, it does come with the attachments. Now, there are a few other items that came with this set, like the Zeus plushie I'm going to get to in a minute, and also some neat posters that you can only put up currently in your habitation. There's these little pegs for it. There's also the CitizenCon trophy specifically. So this is the CitizenCon 2953 trophy recognizing the event. You can tell that it has the Pyrotechnic Amalgamated logo on these in the center. And it also has a hologram that you can activate and turn on and off. It does seem to have an animation that it wants to do where the top would close up. Like it looks like the top is designed to close. But currently you can turn off and on the hologram and it does not open and close the lid. That's not a big deal, honestly. It's a cool piece of machinery. It's very, very industrial looking and it's truly unique. And I think it represents Pyro very well, which I think was the goal of all these different pieces of equipment. Switching gears a bit, these are the posters that were for the Best in Show. And in particular, I have the Redeemer and the 600i posters. They mount to small pegs that are on the boards of the habitation modules. And remember, they are shared habitations, so you'd want to take these with you after you're done using them. You can either carry and then place them by having it just placed to the peg, or you can select place off the list, and it is a little buggier, but it can put up this the white image becomes green when it's ready to be placed. Now, if you have trouble getting this to work, because I got it to work on the left, but I couldn't get it to work here on the right, what you can do is reopen the inventory by hitting I, and then just literally using the place button, because sometimes it seems like it gets a little busy like this and confused. And that's the recommendation I have for users that might have that situation. Because like you can see, and maybe, I think people like it when I'm very transparent in the processing, but that's how it looks when you put it up. And it looks good. I think that poster is it's less than ideal to me. I think the Redeemer one looks nice on the 600i. I can't comment on the other two other than like the low res shots I've seen so far. But I like the poster system itself, and I hope that these are for sale in game for credits as well, or at the very least as like the actual ship itself. Make the Best in Show version, just a little that much nicer, like the Ship Showdown version. But like there should be advertising posters from at least a few of the manufacturers, I hope, for most ships. But in general, everybody wants the Sims 3 experience. I know you're probably yelling, not me, not me, but I think everybody wants to. What I mean by that is customization. So that's kind of my smart aleck way of saying customization is important to people. So just some food for thought. So we have literal evidence that the armor and undersuits are going to go up in cost. This includes all sorts of equipment. And we're not talking about a lot here. So for example, my live sample right now is the Venture helmet is at 1.2K. But in Tammany and Sons on the experimental PTU, the Venture helmet is at 1.7K. It seems to have hit the helmets more, I believe, probably due to electronic components, I assume, that would be in the HUD of a helmet. That's my speculation. But everything seems to have gone up a bit. For example, those Venture arms that were 470 on the live are like a 580 or something like that. So we're talking about only a couple hundred a few thousand UEC across an entire set of armor and an undersuit, etc. But it is going up, and it is progressing over the value and cost of what you're purchasing. Flight suits are the cheapest, and light armor is a bit higher, medium armor is higher, and then heavy armor is the most expensive that we have right now. And then I assume that the Atlas platform and chassis, whatever you would like to call it, when that suit finally comes in, that will be even more than all of these by a mile. Now, I do want to note that there are already special armors that are more expensive, but that's kind of a missing lead there. Like, for example, the Caldera suit's like 25K if you count the helmet and the chest, because the full armor aside from the helmet's 25K. Sorry, 15K, and then the helmet's like 10K. But I want to note that it is the sum of its parts. So you have to compare it to like a full set of heavy armor with a proper undersuit for heavy armor, etc., etc., etc. If you were to compare just how much more the experimental suits that are difficult temperatures and conditions would be, but it is worth noting that they are extraordinarily expensive. It also makes sense that in the Ascension suits that the special suit, the Novikov armors set, is the most expensive of the three when you're purchasing them separately. Also note that backpacks are the same deal, light, medium, heavy. They change the price of the backpack significantly, but in particular, the jump seems to be the most from medium to heavy armor for most people, ignoring the hot or the cold armor sets, these hazardous condition sets that are specialist type niche things. That most of the value and cost is not in clothing, it's not in flight suits, it's in actual armors, and there are these placeholders, which I'm not sure if the placeholders are new or they're just a glitch, or if they're actually something like placeholders for new sets of armor. If they increase the price on all these things, it is possible that they have additional undersuits coming in, additional armor sets coming in, and they're trying to right size those things as our economy has shown what it is available to do. But you can see that it's the same deal with a lot of these things. The cost is going up a few hundred or even 1,000 or more UEC, and then across your entire set of armor, it can add up a little bit. Now, as a reminder, though, running a single decent mission with an org or your friends will probably pay for all of your armor and undersuits. I regularly, not regularly, but I have on many occasions picked up the tab for people. You can see I'm in the EPTU right now, so it's not necessary. I have 15 million UEC. We all get free money when you go in there. Right now, the experimental PTU is on wave 1. I hope to see more waves in the future, so you can test it out yourself if you're not already in. But anyway, in the PTUs, you have a lot of money. In the live server, this is going to hit people a little bit, and it might knock you off your trajectory. So if you're planning around this, it might be a good idea to pick up a couple sets of your favorite armor now. It'll save you a little bit of money, especially if you're buying multiple sets. But they have not nerfed the armor. They've just increased its cost. And once again, it seems like the helmets got hit the hardest. If you look at the helmets, even like that medium armor, like the higher end Ariel set, which is a utility medium armor, is like 2.9K. And once again, the Pembrokes from Caldera or the Novikov, that price has gone up on the environmental equipment, it seems, that are significant. Once again, the flight helmets are the cheapest, and they have the least damage reduction. Then you have light armor, which is the next cheapest, and they're still cheap. For example, in the helmets, if we're just talking about helmets, you're talking about 1K to 1.2K when you're talking about light flight helmets, and then into light helmets. And then you're talking about 2 point something to like 3K for like mediums, and then heavies go from 3K to like 5K-ish. that's kind of the paraphrasing. The very video you're watching, you could pause this and take a look at each section and really start planning around your sets. I'm just trying to give you kind of ballpark numbers to give you an idea of what you want to expect. But you'll notice that some of the armors, the helmets and stuff, will literally be in below 2K for just the medium armors. For those who prefer seeing it on the suits themselves, I've also grabbed that. So it occurred to me that the picture and the name you may not recognize, but if you look at it on the actual mannequins, you may say, "Oh, that's actually the suit I'm used to, or I prefer, or the suit I don't like." You can see that there is significant price changes on some of these. And once again, these prices are subject to change. This is the experimental PTU. It's not even on the PTU yet. So if there's, let's say, community feedback that says that it's too much or too little of a change on specific things, or too much focus on the heavy armors being really, really over increased in price, that may change things again. So I don't think these are earth-shattering prices. And you'll note that I didn't make a clickbait title for this. I just noted that they changed a little bit, and that's because I want to be honest about it. That's my personal I'm going to say my personal opinion now. I don't think this is a major change. I think it was due up. Armors and equipment in general are valuable items, but they're not something that should be breaking the bank. It shouldn't. You should never have to make the decision of, oh, I just put hours and hours of work into just getting my nice set of armor, and then I died, or I got hurt and lost some of it, or lost it all, and now what am I going to do? I think they should never have that situation. And then for the higher end advanced players that are running around in heavy armors, or hazardous condition players that are trying to go min-maxing on their equipment so they can go mine in like the most lucrative places, I like that there is some upward mobility in the prices for those type of players, so they have that sense of weight to what they're doing. So I thought it was interesting also that utility armors in particular are not playing second fiddle anymore, and the costs, they cost a lot as well. For the sake of thoroughness, I went over to Kelto on the live server, and I found the Venture set. That helped me a little bit in my understanding of what the actual prices are right now. So if you were looking at the prices earlier and you're wondering what the heck are the prices, and I don't want to go on the live server just to find out, you can pause the video now, take a look at these prices, and then you can go back into the timestamps, which is like past the 9-minute mark. And of course it's chaptered, and you can compare some of those prices, at least on the light armors. This gives you kind of a sense of what I was talking about and where my perspectives were about how it's not that much difference in price. But yes, some things did go up a little bit. And on to the new hairstyles. So this is one of the things that is coming in from Squadron 42, that we have these fresh new hairstyles. It is very welcome after all these years, and you'll note that the old school hairstyles have been updated in some cases, and all the hair tech is quite interesting. There are limited colors right now. It is what it is. So there's only a couple hair colors, but they are quite realistic hairs. I would venture a guess that this is a limitation of the system currently. Maybe once again, by the time it finally goes through the experimental PTU, through the PTU, into live, maybe there'll be more hairs. From what I heard through the rumor mill, in the initial patches before Wave 1, once again, this is rumor, some of the other hairstyles that were being considered were not laying correctly, and there was some weird gravity effects on the hairstyles that were not looking right. You will note in this short video that I'm working with, there are some very unique hairs to choose from, and in general, the hairs are looking pretty good. I think that this hair right there that look is probably one of the more favorable hairs, and you can note that they look good both in helmet and on the player's character itself, and when they're not in a helmet. But the I think this is a really weird moment for many of us, because uh, we've been stuck with the same hairstyles and the same type of, like, it felt like gel backed hair for so long. that having a few different actual styles that look nice and actually flow well is very welcome. I will note that there is still this a little bit of an this is me being picky, I guess, but there is still an issue with eyebrow color on certain hair colors where the eyebrows do not match the color of the hair. And I think that should be a choice because that is how some folks are. They have this matching eyebrow colors or complementary colors to their hair color. Um, I will also note that this specific color, in my opinion, looks like a hair dye. It does not look natural. That's just my opinion. But in general, I welcome the new hair, and I strongly suspect that over time it will grow in number of colors, and it will styles as well. These are listed as the first 20 hairstyles that are coming in. I'm noting here that the bangs are something a little different. So when I record, most of the time, I actually talk little notes to myself, and sometimes I'll say what I thought in a more professional manner, and other times I will skip it. But I do agree with myself in this case that some of the style is not quite being shined through. And I did appreciate some of the hairstyles that may not be very popular with player characters, but they will be good for NPCs to add depth and dimension so everybody isn't walking around with the same couple of hairstyles. And I thought that was just something I wanted to mention. This is a big milestone mark, and it's also a sign of the commitment of Squadron 42 content that has been coming over to the PU slowly but surely. I'll take this moment to mention that now that we're towards the end of the video, I can kind of get a little more, have a little more of a discussion than just presenting what the new stuff is. And I wanted to mention that, for many years, there was a very small team running things on the PU, and out of the big group, it was always Squadron came first. Squadron's got to get out the door. Squadron's got to get out the door. Commitment to Squadron. And I appreciate that. I think we're finally seeing those promises of the stuff from Squadron will flow to the PU coming together. And yes, it is something as simple as hair, but it is a step in the right direction. This is the old character creator, I want to note. So I did test it out a little bit, trying to see if it would change anything. And I thought it would be a good idea to leave this in the video just so you can see it yourself. So if you hear anybody putting up any videos or topics or posts about the new character creator, they just mean that it has some of the new hairstyles. And yes, the hair does look good. And it is most welcome that we'll have some new styles to truly make the characters your own. And I'm curious in the future. This is actually, by the way, the main menu is this damn Derek that I've been trying to hunt down. I spent goodness, probably 2 hours last night trying to find it. I had no luck. That's why you're seeing this video instead of that video. I was planning, if I did find it, to put that out first and then this. I will find it this weekend though, when I have time. But I searched and I searched and I searched. There is a guide to get to the cutters, or to get to the cutters rig on the Verse Guide website. Not that I'm advocating for any specific site. That's just where I found it. So if you don't mind spoilers, it's on there. But it's literally the loading menu for the game is literally that page. So it's not exactly much of a spoiler when it's the main menu. And it's on Hurston. So there's a new oil derrick on Hurston, and I haven't been able to confirm it because I haven't gotten there yet. But from what I'm hearing, it's going to be the new Jumptown 3.0 or 4.0 or whatever we're up to, where people will fight for control of it and take resources from it, and there's places to land and things like that. It's not huge or anything, but that's what I'm hearing. So I hope to do a full video exploring that page. And that's going to do it for my first video from 3.22 PTU, EPTU. Thank you so much to everybody who sticks around, my long-term subscribers. If you haven't already, please consider subscribing, hit the like button, all that fun stuff. And of course, I'm available for comments, discussion on Discord and on the on Discord, YouTube, and on Reddit. Thanks again. Fly safe, everyone.